Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time watching any of my videos, welcome. There's a lot of different content, so you never know what you're going to get. But today, I want to talk to you about the advantages that I have found doing homeschool year-round, all year round. Now, first of all, I want to start off with a disclosure. Probably one of my biggest fears as a child, and I guess I'm very fortunate because this is one of my biggest fears as a child, was when there would be these whispers or this talk about public school going year round. And in my mind, it was like the worst idea ever. And now maybe if public school did go year round, it would be the worst thing ever. I don't know. But homeschool year round, well, what my family does is nothing like I perceived school year round in a public school setting to be like. So it is nothing like that. It isn't you go to school all the time, it isn't more school. I mean, maybe there is more school, but it's not overwhelming or unmanageable or unpleasant in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, I have found it to be more pleasant. So let me get into the reasons. I have 5 main reasons that I have found. So first would be the elimination of the summer slide. Have you heard that term before? So summer slide is when you're off for the summer and you're at like here with your knowledge at the end of the last school year, and you kind of slide down a little through the summer. And when you start back up school again, you've actually lost some knowledge because you haven't been using it. And so I have found homeschooling that it takes about, I don't know, a couple weeks to a month to really get back to where we were, with materials left or just things forgotten. And I don't believe it's anyone's fault. I think it's a very natural. I know myself personally, when I don't use skills I have, I forget them. I was signing a lot, doing a lot of sign language, and I stopped doing it probably the last year, and it amazes me the amount of signs that I have forgotten in that time period. So it's not just children, it's adults too. We lose what we don't use. Use it or lose it, right? So summer slide goes away. It doesn't exist. So you don't have that time where you're playing catch up or you're getting back to where you were, or you feel like you finally got the ball rolling. That's gone. So that's a really cool thing. Another thing, so item number 2 would be just daily demands aren't so demanding. So we participate in a co-op that is kind of year-round. It kind of follows like a school year thought process. So we have a fall semester and we have a spring semester, and that is 1 day a week. And for older children, it can go till later in the afternoon. For middle school and under, it just goes till like 12:30. So they do get some knowledge and learn some things at co-op. However, I find that for the younger years, when you're learning phonics and you're learning primary math and stuff, you really need to get in all of your regular daily curriculum math or grade level math. When you get a little older in your middle school and so on and so forth, those things, it's okay if you kind of skip over a little bit of stuff in those areas, because you have the basis, the foundation on which you build upon. It's already there. But in the younger years, I don't feel like co-op can replace school in my circumstances. And there are different co-ops. They're all very different. But that's for my co-op. So my co-op is just kind of more like extracurricular until you get to older ages. So, you have the daily demands of co-op, which would kind of, in the past, take away a day of school work. Because till the time we got home and we ate lunch, it was late in the day, and everybody was pretty burnt out. We are a family that does school generally in the morning, so we're generally done with school by lunchtime. Also, like appointments, um, they kind of mess up a schedule whenever daddy is off, or we have family visiting, that messes up a schedule. So before we did school year round, what I would do at the beginning of the school year is I'd take the calendar, I'd plan out my weeks, when we'd be off, when we'd do school, and figure out when we'd finish up, how long we'd have off for Christmas, and things like that. But then things would kind of come up, and that would kind of derail the school year. And if my children knew when they have off and that got changed, they didn't like that. If we had like, for example, a day, where something came up in the middle of the week, and then, I was still trying to get that week's amount of school done, and we had to do stuff over the weekend, the children didn't like that. It just made things more tense and harder for me. It was harder either because I had to redo my schedule and refigure things out, or my children had to be, I had to work through it with my children, and we had to replan, which is good for them. It's good for them to understand life happens, things happen, and we have to readjust. However, it was also difficult. It was just difficult juggling all the things that would come and, in with what we had going on. And because our schedule was so tightly worked, it was just challenging. And additionally, we relied very heavily on the mindset that day 1 of our week was Monday, day 5 was Friday. And so we felt like we should be doing the day 5 things on Fridays, and Fridays were a lighter day, and so on and so forth. So that kind of, if we ended up with like maybe a half a week, and then we started off the next week with it was just, it was difficult. And the harder I worked to try to keep our schedule together and keep us rolling, it was hard on me. So the daily demands that just came up, they were harder for me to flow with. Now, as we're doing school year round, we have 365 days to get our 180 days in, to get our entire curriculum done. And so when we have these random days that pop up, it's not nearly as big of a deal. Another advantage, I would say number 3, is more random days off. So it kind of ties in with item number 2. Sometimes I'm like, hey, we're just going to go do this. And that is one of the beauties of homeschool. It's supposed to be one of the beauties of homeschool, but I think sometimes it gets lost because we have to plan our lives and we have to make it work, and we have to get our days in, and we have to get them before. In my state, we had to have a yearly evaluation. And so I think that, the scheduling of everything kind of removes some of the beauty of homeschooling. And so we have more random days free because in my state we had to have 180 days of school each year. My children always far surpass that amount because we're doing so much extra stuff that is kind of like school. We get all of our regular school done, plus we have our extra things, but we're able to, just have more of those random days. And if I feel like, hey, we're swamped right now, or hey, we're having sudden guests, we're taking the week off. Or maybe something happens, maybe a new baby moves into my home, maybe we've got the flu, whatever it is, maybe surprise vacation, we can take those random days, and it doesn't throw everything off because I'm not doing that calendar anymore where I'm laying everything out and I'm figuring it all out. So now our mindset is that every day unless we have something going on, every day in the morning, a couple hours is dedicated to school. Just a couple hours. And that leads me into number 4. Item number 4, the workload per child per day can be less intense. So now this is child specific. Some children, they can do, whatever you give them in an age appropriate manner. But sometimes some children really struggle with, the daily amount of work. And I have a child in particular that just struggled to get things done, struggled to stay on task. And that became a stressor for them, and it also became a stressor for me, because I'm, saying, hey, well, how's your work going? What are you working on? Well, it's taking you 4 hours to get an hour's worth of work done. What's going on? And, then immediately I'm worrying about getting this school done and the rest of my day. And, they're upset about the amount of school that they have. So for children that struggle through their amounts of school, you can give them a reduced amount. So this particular child, I was able to work with them and assign to them maybe half of the amount that they would normally get, maybe half to like 2/3 of the amount. So that way, even if they decide to take forever because they didn't want to do it, it could still get done in a, with time left in the day where it didn't impact the entire day. And it didn't look as much to them, which is, a lot of things are how we perceive them. So that helped with them. It also helped with me because the same amount of work was getting done, just maybe over 1.5 days or 2 days. So it's getting done more timely, and I'm not having to, stand over and enforce, and saying, well, what are you doing? Why haven't you gotten this done? What have you been doing? So, that was a benefit for me and for them. So now the fifth reason, number 5, that I've really enjoyed this, that the biggest thing I've noticed is that too much free time is a bad thing, at least in my house. And I know for me personally, it's good to have purpose. It's good to have a schedule. It's good. And what I have found on summers, or if my children have too much time off, they don't appreciate the time. They get bored, or they, will maybe be fighting more, or, bickering more, because they just have all this time. But when we're doing school, and, it's just a couple hours a day, we get our day rolling, we start our school, and then, we do lunch, and by that point, they're excited to play together. They're excited to do what they want to do, and everything goes much better. It's still the same amount of school. It's just, over more days. So we have just completed our first full year-round year of school, I should say. We took a week off in between. That was primarily for me to prep and get ready to get rolling with the next year. And then we started back up. And so how it works in our life is, like I said, we get up, we breakfast, everybody gets dressed, and they get their hair done. I do whatever little things I have to do before we start our school day, and we get our school day rolling as quickly as we can. Ideally by 8, not always by 8, sometimes 8:30 or so till we're going. And then we do school. I get my oldest started. I do what I have to do with her, and then I send her off with what she can do independently with the list. And then my younger children, I work with them kind of together simultaneously, and we go through. The littlest ones play. And about 2 hours, some days give or take a little bit depending on the day. But that's our general day in, day out. If we don't have anything to do first half of the day, which I try to keep first half of the day open, that's what we do. Now, say it's a co-op day. We don't do school on co-op days any longer. We don't worry about, day 1 being a Monday or day 5 being a Friday. My children enjoy day 5s. We just call them day 5s, and they know that those are a later day for them, but it's not always necessarily a Friday. If my husband's off work, we don't do school because it's just a struggle. It's just a battle. And, because I have this extra flexibility now, we just don't do school. If we decide we want to go to the zoo or we want to go to the lake, we just don't do school. It's okay. And if my husband ends up working and it's like a Saturday, we do school. And that's just how we do it. And it has gone so much better. So much better. I think a lot of during school, just like during the school year, and figuring out, your weeks, because you have to be compliant with whatever your state expects of you. And I know state to state is different, but that puts so much burden on the schooling. And it shouldn't be that way. Yes, we need to cover the material we need to cover, but it's supposed to be pleasant and enjoyable. And part of the beauty of homeschooling is there's time to enjoy those things. And when things don't work, for a particular child or for a family, part of the beauty of homeschool is that you are able to tweak it and make it work for you. So we have already started next year. It is mid-July. And, we'll just keep trekking along. We will do some different day trips and things, different weeks. We will live life as life is presented to us. But, on the days we're just home, my kids are going to appreciate their time to play together. Nobody's going to have a workload that is overwhelming. And we're just going to keep on going. So I believe that I will be continuing to school this way for quite some time. I have just been so pleased. I was so against it. I didn't want to miss out on summers for myself either, because, homeschooling, it's a demand. You put a lot into it. But the truth is that what I've gained from it, not having the stress of, making sure we're getting that school done when we were supposed to get it done, and the schedule, and, getting the amount of school that's assigned for that day done, and the bickering because the children have too much free time, not having to deal with that, all of that really, it makes it so worthwhile. And I still have time to do these projects that I, was wanting to do, because it's just a couple hours a day. We do it first half of the day, and, then we're on to other things. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video about the benefits I have found to homeschooling year round, and I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. If you have tried homeschooling year round, I'd love to hear your thoughts too, and what you liked about it and what you didn't like about it. And I look forward to talking to you again real soon.